Yeah, good stuff as always, Brad. And hold on, Sesame Street was my shit. All right, Snuffleupagus was my boy. Okay, so we ain't quite that young. No, but with that being said, let's talk about something a little bit more positive. The Detroit Pistons. Okay, a team that did make the playoffs, a team that is good, a team that has young players that actually play on the fucking team. Oh my god, it's like rocket science out here. I will say that's the one thing I really don't like about hockey and even soccer in some ways. You got baseball is the same way. You got to wait fucking years and years and years sometimes to get these players, man. And it's like in the NFL, bro, if you suck ass, you go get your first overall pick, you get a good player, and you're good to go. Whereas these others, it's a lot harder to build a team if you can't get free agents and you can't win trades. So, luckily we do have one team right now. Well, the Tigers are doing pretty good too, but it's early, so we'll temper expectations. But luckily we have one team in Detroit right now that is kicking ass, for lack of a better term. Uh, as we said before, I went to the game last week. LCA was lit. It was rocking. This Saturday, they take on the New York Knicks in New York. Um, as we knew this is what was going to happen. Um, but last time we saw you, we went over some stats, right? And it made the Pistons sound like they had a pretty good shot. The stats are updated, and that shot don't look too good anymore, guys. I'm just going to be honest. I was already kind of pessimistic, but before the Pistons were fourth in rebounds, now they're 13th. And I personally felt like that was the big difference maker between these two teams was the Pistons obviously defensive ability and ability to get rebounds even though they were technically smaller than a lot of the teams that they play. However, right now the Pistons are 11th in points, 13th in the rebounds, 14th in assists, 20th in assist to turnover ratio, 21st in turnover percentage, 12th in net rating with a 1.9, 14th in offensive rating with a 114.6, and 10th in defensive rating with 112.5. Now, the Knicks are not really that much different. It's not a huge discrepancy. They are ninth in points, 24th in rebounds, 4th in field goal percentage, 11th in assists, 6th in assist to turnover ratio, 7th in turnover percentage, 8th in net rating with a 4.2, 13th in defensive rating at 114.3, and 5th in offensive rating, 118.5. Now, they sound very similar, right? Almost the same. The things that stick out to me, though, are the rebounding difference. The Pistons still have a pretty big advantage on the rebounding. However, the turnover ratio, the assist to turnover ratio, and the net rating are really the three things that worry me about this Knicks team on paper, stats wise. Um, Obviously, we already talked about some of the things that will worry me, but we'll get into that a little bit more in a second. But they are sixth in assist to turnover ratio and seventh in turnover percentage, eighth in net rating. Right, the Knicks. The Pistons, however, are 20th in assist to turnover ratio, 21st in turnover percentage, and 12th in net rating. So to me, that screams, right? The Pistons are kind of what we thought they were. They're a good, scrappy, hard nosed team that realistically has a lot of issues. And I know everybody in Detroit right now is riding the Pistons. They love the Pistons. They love Detroit basketball, and I do too. It was a great time at the game. We went to two games in the last couple weeks, actually. It was a great time, both games. But I think we need to be realistic, and I think we need to understand going into this game that Karl Anthony Towns, Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, Michael Bridges are gonna pose some issues, and I don't see the Pistons winning more than 1 to 2 games, and that's probably at best. Now, realistically, they could still win the series though, because it would take a lot. But if we can keep Cat under, I would say under 25 points, under 10 rebounds, we got a chance. As long as someone else, not named Cade Cunningham, can average over 20 a game. If those two things happen, we have a real shot. If not, we could be in a shit river without a paddle, unfortunately. And with that being said, I will pass over to you, Brad, if you have anything to add.
Yeah, no, that's some great number crunching right there. Seriously, that's awesome. Um, and it's valid. There's no doubt about it. So I don't want you to think that. But the highest number that I see up there, and the highest number that means the most to me, is the number six, as in the sixth seed. They had to they had to work to do it. All right. I mean, if you want to count 10, 12, I mean, then they would honestly be down in that range a little bit. That's what I'm trying to say. But they're the sixth seed, and they got there through the sixth seed through their grit, through their bad boy 2.0, uh, through a lot of things. The 50-50 balls, they're winning that now. Okay, they weren't winning that before. I think what has to happen, one big thing is Cade has to be Cade. Cade has to be the best player on the floor every night. He can't just be the best player on the floor, 2 out of 3 every night. If they want to have a shot at winning, he's got to be the best player on the floor. Also, you need Malik Beasley to be hot. He can be Malik Beasley, or he cannot, all right, have a cold shooting night. Because if he goes cold one night, it's a wrap. Okay, it's just a wrap. You're going to get your points from Duran on the putbacks and things, but it's going to be a little difficult for him too when you got count. You got Cat down there, pushing him around a little bit. So that's going to be tough. Um, Sears got to, Thompson. He's got to flat out be the slasher that he's been all year long. He can be the guy. He can be the X factor here. And what would he bring the X factor here is he's got to play defense, and he's a very good defender. I don't want to be throwing. All right, he's a very very good defender. Okay, and if he can lock a guy down here or there, and he can get his steal, and he can get a guy to pull up and take a shot instead of drive. All right, that would be great. Ron Holland, he might have to get some minutes here. He might have to be the streaky guy. He might have to be that little Jameer Gibbs water bug. He's got a knack for being able to get to the lane. He's good in the open. Seriously, he's good in the open court. So again, he's got to be on. Hardaway Jr., he's got to be hitting his threes. Okay, but so what you've heard me say here is gotta, 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 gotta. That's a lot of gottas, okay? A lot of gottas, and they're not going to happen every night. That's the thing. But it also goes for the Knicks, too. I mean, Brunson can have his nights. He really can. I do see them. I do see them throwing a lot of bodies on Cat, seeing which one sticks. It might be if it's working one night, they're going to go with that. If they got to switch it up one night, they go with that. So I don't think you're going to see one guy on him, at all cost. Uh, but there's got to be. I mean, these guys have got to step up. They got to go a little deeper into their bench. I am not a big fan. Let's just play the if game. If Ivy comes back, I don't like that, to be honest with you, because you throw them in a mix. Well, guess what? It's like throwing a new quart of oil in an engine that's used to something else. You could get some hiccups going there. You could get some knocks in the engine. I don't want him to impede the process. I wouldn't mind if he came off the bench and tried to heat up for an extra, give him a spark, but I would not have him play more than 3 minutes a half. Unless something clicks. Who's to say it doesn't click? Who am I? But if it doesn't click, then, but see what can happen. Hell, throw everything but the kitchen sink at these guys. Remember we talked last time. Hey, you're playing with house money. So throw something at them, see if it sticks, guys. But I, I think in the end it's gonna go 7, and I think the Knicks win. Don't forget though, the Knicks got upset in the first round last year, so they have not been. Stephen A. Smith, he calls them their Knicks, and they are his Knicks, and rightly so, they are. But do you remember? And this is where it's ironic. You remember how he likes when the Cowboys lose, as he comes on there and everything and everything. Well, you know what? Your Knicks are the Cowboys, Stephen A. Knicks are the Cowboys of the NBA. They're a brand, they're popular, and they always come up short. I don't think they come up short this time because all the goddess that the Pistons have to do, they're not always going to be there in 4 games. So, good stuff on your end, but let's see what happens. I know I'm looking forward to it. Hey, I'll tell you what, this is what can help the Pistons too. They steal one on the road early. Guess what they're coming back to? We know what Detroit's like. We know when Detroit's been starving for basketball, right? Just like they were starving for football, just like they were starving for baseball. When you go into LCA, you're going to need your earplugs, okay? Because it's been a long time. Pistons get one on the road. Let's see what can happen. Let's see. So that's all I got. Back to you guys.
Yeah, and that's really good stuff from you, Brad. You know, that's why basketball is so different than other sports and when it comes to the playoffs. Obviously, hockey has a series and baseball has a series, but I guess football is really the only one that doesn't. But that's why basketball is so different, right? Because football is any given Sunday. You come with the right mindset, you beat that team, you move on. Whereas in basketball, the better team's going to win the series most of the time, like probably 8 out of 10 times realistically. So I think we all can kind of agree the Knicks are the better team, but the Pistons do have a chance, right? And like you said before, it comes down to a lot of gottas. Like they got to do this, they got to do that. Um, the thing that I've been thinking about recently a lot, like my big takeaways, I guess, from the game, it's going to be, can we stop Cat? Okay, number one. Number two, if we stop Cat, can we stop the other guys on the perimeter? Because the thing I'm worried about right now is, like we've talked about, we're a little undersized, right, when it comes to Karl Anthony Towns, 7 foot tall. Our tallest guy right now is 6'10" with Jalen Duren. Let's say we're doing a pretty good job on him, though. We got him, let's say, Stewart's on him, and every time he backs him down, we get a guy coming over from the corner to help, or whatever the case, a guy popping down from the elbow. That's going to leave somebody open, right? So the thing that worries me is if we stop Cat, there's another step that the Knicks can take. That's all I think really comes into this series is the Knicks just have too much firepower, man. We don't have it. We just don't. Like, if Malik Beasley can come out and average 25, we got a chance. I just don't know if that's going to happen. I'm not willing to bet on that. You know what I mean? So a lot of it will come down to also Cade. Obviously, as we know, I think OG Anunoby is a pretty good matchup for Cade. Just in terms of his length, his strength, his athleticism, his ability, his all of it. He's a great matchup for Cade for the Knicks. Now, Cade did drop 36 the last time he guarded him, so it's not like he's going to shut him down. The OG Anunoby ain't Prime Kawhi. You know what I mean? He's not locking anybody up. However, I do think it could cause some issues. I also think in the playoffs, a lot of teams are going to play it differently. I think they're going to attack Cade defensively. I mean, they're going to do whatever it takes to stop Cade. Period. Who else you got to worry about offensively? I mean, Duren is really the only other guy. Malik Beasley if he gets hot. I mean, Tim Hardaway if he gets hot. But it's like, it's just one of those things that like we've said before, we're playing with house money. Thank God we made the playoffs after such a long drought. Um, I'm not counting anybody out, but my prediction is and always has been and will be Knicks in 6. I just don't see it unless, like you said before, the Pistons can somehow grab one of the first 2 games. If they can grab one of those first 2 games in New York, we might have something there. So just something to think about. Pistons fans, come out. Once they're back at home, we gotta fill that fucking stadium up, man. We gotta show these Knicks what we're about. They got a little bit of a taste, just a little crumb, but it wasn't even sold out. It was on a Thursday night, okay? So that wasn't shit compared to what fucking LCA better look like when the Pistons come back for the playoffs. Like, it better be rocking. I better see videos on Twitter like we do at Ford Field where people are like, holy fucking shit, it's loud in here, man. Like, it has to be like that because I'll tell you what, Pistons are going to need every little thing they can fucking get. And if that's the crowd, that's the crowd. I'll tell you what, I personally feel like I made Jalen Brunson miss 2 free throws. I'm just saying. I was at the game. I was literally yelling at him, you are weak. You're a soft bitch. And he missed both free throws. And I was like, all right, sweet. Works for me. But with that being said, we will move on from the Pistons. We've got the game coming up on Saturday, as we know, but we do have other things to talk about here.